Okay, let's talk about my Superior Drummer 3 multi-output mixer settings. And so if I mute the ambient mid, it's way tighter. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the actual settings that I use in the mixer in Logic and my third-party plugins that I'm putting on the various elements of the drums multi-output from Superior Drummer 3. So just for context, I'm going to play first in this track the drums that I've used, up until now, where it was just the stereo output from Superior Drummer using its internal mixer, and then we can compare that to what I ended up with after adding the plugins. Okay, and now let's hear what it sounds like with the multi-output. So it sounds like there's more space, and the toms are bigger and more punchy. And just overall, I like the sound better. It's subjective, of course, but let's just see what I'm doing here. So I'm using my own custom drum kit that I've made in Superior Drummer, and I've made a previous video about this where I break down how to actually create the multi-output and all that. So I'm not going to go over that in this video. If you want to check that out, it's in this other video that you can click here. Yeah, let's start with the output of it, where the whole thing is going through this summing stack, and on that I've got a VCA compressor from Softtube. This makes a really big difference to the sound, and that's why I'm starting with it first. So I'm just going to show you what it sounds like with it turned off first. So it's clean, but it's a little wimpy. And let's turn on the compressor. So it makes a really big difference. I'm just going to turn the compression up and down so you can sort of get an idea for how it affects it. So I'm going to start with it less, and then I'll increase it back up again. So as you can hear with this particular compressor, you can get that really over-compressed sound if you want. It's got, a drive in it for saturation. It's VCA, so it's got that really fast attack release capability that you'd expect. After that, I've got a UADX Sound City set up here, and it's in reverb mode with just giving me a tiny little bit of room that is very small. So it just gives the drums a little bit of surrounding sort of air, not a big reverb. That most of the depth of the drums is actually coming from the ambient mics. The next thing is the kick drum here. So I'm just going to solo. This is the kick in. And I've got a little bit of EQ going on. I'm dipping a bit at 500 Hertz. And also at 4,000 to take a bit of the click off the beater, because with this particular sample, it's called the Yamaha Beach Custom. The actual sample has a really loud beater click, which I like because it cuts, but if it's too much, it sort of sticks out. So I'm taming that a bit here with the dip at 4,000. And then I'm going through this DBX compressor limiter, the 160 from UADX. And it's a very unique sounding compressor. It actually it's very weird and doesn't work on a lot of things because of just the nature of how it affects the sound. It just really draws out punch from things. And if you don't want that, it's not going to work. But I'm just going to turn it off so we can sort of hear the difference. I'm hearing more punch and body, and it just really brings out a lot from this kick drum sound. I've also got kick out and kick sub, but they're not processed. I've just got them there sort of to add to the processed kick in. So altogether, so it's punchy, it's deep, doesn't really get in the way too much. Let's go over to the snare drum now. So I've got some crazy EQ here. So at 550, I've got negative 3 dB, which I think is pulling a bit of that ring out. Let's just turn it back off. And doesn't affect the ring too much, but it does sort of tame that mid-range. And I'm boosting at 5K to bring out the attack of the stick hitting the snare drum. I've got a FabFilter Pro C2 here. Let's turn that off. Turn it on again. Again, kind of brings some body to it. Let's see, there's a Manly Massive Passive, and I'm not doing much here. I've got a boost, like 6K or something like that. Again, I guess just to add a bit more to the attack to bring out the snap of that snare hit. And then I've got like a little ambience sort of setting on the Valhalla Vintage Verb. Oh, it's called Snare Ambience. It's only like 0.89 seconds, so let's just see what that does. I'm going to turn it off. It actually makes quite a difference. It brings out a lot of, stereo width and sort of, almost like a room sound on the snare drum, so that it sounds bigger and has a more of a presence in the mix. So then I've got a snare bottom that I've just got I've got actually the same EQ, I think, as on the top, and then the Pro C2 with the same settings too. And it's kind of lower down. It's just like that. And if we add the top snare to that, it sounds like a snare drum. Okay, and then there's hi-hat. And so for this, I'm cutting out a lot of the low end of it so that there's not too much bleed from the kick and the snare coming through this. And then I boosted a little bit, just under 10K, to give it a little more sizzle. Not much there. So let's check out the toms. I just have to find a part in the song where there are lots of toms, which I think is the beginning part. Let's go to that. Yeah, so they sound pretty huge. Let's see, I've got a BX console, the SSL 4000E. I think is that on preset? Yeah, it's on like a toms preset. That's got a bunch of things going on, like compression and EQ. Let's just see what it looks like here. And I've got a Hitsville EQ where looks like I'm cutting a little bit at 320, a little bit at 800, and boosting a little bit at 5,000 to just take a bit of that mid-range away and get a little more clarity on the top end, or the punch of it. I've got Pro G from FabFilter here that's like gating the noise. So let's just, I'm just gonna only have one on. So this is just like the rack tom, and I'm gonna turn off the gate so you can hear what that sounds like. So you can hear a lot of like hi-hat and kick drum now, and when I put the gate back on, you can still hear a bit of hi-hat, but it sounds a lot better. And then once again, I've got some vintage verb here going on. Actually, I've got the wrong setting because I recently learned about pre-delay and decay calculations, and I forgot to fix these. So let's just do that now and see how that affects it. So I'm going to copy this setting, and I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to copy the other setting and paste it here. Okay, so let's check out the toms again with the reverb fixed. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so overhead, I've got Pro Q3 happening, and it's basically just got like a shelf here and at about 277, just to take away some of the mud, and let's see what that sounds like. Sounds pretty good. And let's try, this is the ribbon mic with the same EQ setting. So you can hear a lot more decay on that. I guess the mic is a lot farther away, and yeah, it just adds like depth to the sound of the drum kit. Then there's an ambient near, which is going to be same sort of idea. Yeah, so the same kind of EQ here. This one's at 300. I'm not sure if I did that on purpose, but just adding another perspective to it. And then there's the ambient mid, which is like the farthest mic away that you have with Superior Drummer. And this one I've got it to about 200 hertz on the low shelf. Yeah, nice big room. So let's just combine, like I'm gonna combine the overhead and the ribbon and the ambient mics together, and you sort of see how they all work together here. Yeah, it sounds like a drum kit. So you know, it's a bit of a trick here. Like if you look at these settings, I've got, you know, negative 12 dB on the overhead, and then the ribbon mic and the ambient near are about negative 20, and then the ambient mid is negative 15. And so it can be a bit tricky to sort of balance all these together because there's, you know, so many variables between them. But I find the ambient mid makes the most difference if you're trying to get like a tight or a big sort of drum sound. So just for example, I'm just going to unsolo all this. It should be the whole drum kit again. And so if I mute the ambient mid, it's way tighter. I'm gonna add it back in again. And so you gotta be really careful with the amount of this. And so if I add like, sounds good. Yeah, so that's a basic overview of what I do, you know, for my demos. This is kind of the main sort of mix that I use, and I copy it to new tracks. And then I tweak it from there depending on the song. You know, obviously I'm gonna adjust the ambient mic to taste. So yeah, I hope you got something out of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.